Felicetti Bant Company 6-1-1 actually. He has a point more. His opponent Michael Stanfar, Mono Blue Prison. Ted will have had to have practiced very hard to have any idea what's going on here.
Yeah. So the question is, when your opponent is 6-2 and they lead with Prison Ring, are you happy or are you sad?
Michael's on a mulligan to 6 on the play here. So we start out. Remember, Michael's lands just almost all islands. That and Shrine. We go back to Ted. He'll present his first threat in Jace Vryn's Prodigy. Just a pass. How many basic islands before you start suspecting that something strange is going on? Michael's on 3.
2.
Okay. Okay. What is... Teamer Emerge plays 4, right? So maybe he's just got a real bad hand. He mulliganed.
Sure.
Ted will tap Jace, play Sylvan Advocate, play Prairie Stream, and pass. Pretty standard Bant opening here.
One thing, though, these islands are all mismatched.
Love it.
Most players playing Teamer Emerge would at least be able to find 4 matching islands. And the jig is up here.
Prism Ring, the play from Michael Stanfar. If you aren't familiar with that card, we're going to get it on screen for a second here. No 4th land for Stanfar. But it's a cheaper Lucky Charm. So he's going to choose blue. Whenever Michael casts a blue spell, he'll gain a life. Ted gets to 4 lands and passes the turn. So now Michael back to his 4th island. Most of his cards here are cantrips, right? That's what we're looking at, and fog-style effects.
Yep, Anticipate, Take Inventory to really churn through the deck. Jace's Sanctum to enable them to cast a lot of cantrips on the same turn, and then follow up with Engulf the Shore, Pour Over the Pages.
So here's, okay, on end step, Ted Felicetti gets 2 creatures off Collected Company. He gets a Reflector Mage and a Spell Queller. He just gets them some power, but while he's tapped down, Stanfar casts Engulf the Shore. With 4 basic islands, he bounces Ted's entire board and gains a life. So how about that?
Well,
This is great.
Certainly protecting his life total.
Jason Sylvan Advocate replayed. Felicetti counting the cards in his hand. No, looks like he's at 7, doesn't have to discard yet. Get Jace's Sanctum, the play from Michael Stanfar. Another card from Magic Origins here. He gains back up to 20 off the blue spell.
Limited reject Jace's Sanctum making its appearance in Constructed.
So the 4-mana spell leaves up 1 blue. Jace's Sanctum, an expensive effect, but albeit a powerful one. We'll get it on screen in a second here. Ted will play his 6th land, so Sylvan Advocate goes to a 4/5. So there you have it. This makes all of Michael's instants and sorceries cast 1 less. And whenever he casts 1, he scries 1. So if he's going to play cards like Engulf the Shores, he can chain them with this.
Mm-hmm. Also, 3 copies of Day's Undoing in Stanfar's deck. So his idea, once he gets really humming, he starts casting Rise from the, or rather, Engulf the Shore is the card that I'm looking for. And then he can just cast a bunch of cantrips once he shuffles up his deck, get those shuffled back in with the Day's Undoing, and just keep returning all the creatures to Felicetti's hand.
So Ted hits with an Advocate, plays an Advocate, flips the Jace to a Planeswalker, and immediately starts going up with it. So trying to make that emblem, that would beat the Prison deck. Michael will cast Pour Over the Pages for a discounted 4 mana. Gains a life up to 17. So it's draw 3, untap 2, discard 1. He's going to discard Coax from the Blind Eternities and untap those islands. And then he passes. So you said there was a Planeswalker problem with his deck, right?
Mm-hmm. He does have a sideboard Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, that he can coax for, and then some main deck Unsubstantiates, which can catch them on the stack. So they only return them to Felicetti's hand.
Yeah, Spell Queller from Felicetti. Michael went for an Engulf the Shore, but it was quelled away. Michael now drops to 10. Plays another island. 6 mana. But he's down to 10. There's 10 power in play for Ted, so he's going to need to make some plays quickly or he's going to take too much damage.
Yeah, 1 life per spell is not going to be enough under this much pressure.
Another Jace's Sanctum. So now his instants and sorceries cost 1, and he'll Engulf the Shore again. That gets him his, so he gains a life. It gets him his other Engulf the Shore back. He'll gain another life off it.
Yeah, just goes ahead and casts it because he gains the life off of the Prison Ring.
So does he have a way to shuffle these back? You see he's played 3 of his 4 Engulf the Shore already.
Yep, 3 Days Undoing. That's kind of what this deck does. Gets all of his lands, his islands onto the table, Starts casting Days Undoing, so his deck is just all cantrips. So he has a bunch of Jace's Sanctum in play, just cycles through his deck, is able to continuously find and engulf the shore, keep Felicetti off the table. What he has to worry about is this Jace that's ticking up.
Yeah, Felicetti end steps that Spell Queller back into play. Jace goes up to 8. It's going to become a problem. You see Sylvan Advocate for Ted. He leaves up mana for Spell Queller and Collected Company, and he'll pass the turn. Swing for 2 first. As long as these Quellers seem relevant, the Jace is, of course, great. So now we're on Michael's side. He's going to, for 1 mana, play Take Inventory. So he scries 1 twice, then draws 1. So scry off a Sanctum. This is actually really powerful. He's gaining a life, scrying 1 twice, then drawing. That's great. He keeps it on top, then draws it. It's another Engulf the Shore.
Yeah, once this deck starts getting online, it starts to feel a little bit hopeless. He does have to actually get to the point where he's going through the entire deck.
It's another Jace's Sanctum. Felicetti's going to go ahead and Spell Quell that one. We untap, but Michael did gain a life off it. Jace is getting very close to its ultimate, though.
And were that Sanctum to resolve, Stanfar could have cast his Engulf the Shores off to just the 1 island.
So he swings a Hydro Lash from Stanfar, stops the lethal swing from Felicetti. He activated Lumbering Falls, and now he's going to take, well, Hydro Lash gives -2, so the Advocate hits for 2 and the Falls for 3. So Stanfar will take 5, but he gains 1, draws a card, going to scry 1 twice. He's got to watch out for Jace, right? He needs an Unsubstantiate, I believe.
Well, that only hits creatures on the battlefield.
So, he really can't hit Planeswalkers.
Yeah, Planeswalkers are a real problem for this deck.
Like there just isn't an answer to them.
He's looking to coax from the Blind Eternities to get that Ulamog, but
Coax is already in the yard.
Yeah, he has to get that back in with Days Undoing, and then draw it.
Jace is up to 9. We might see whether or not Stanfar will have to win through a Jace emblem. I suppose it's possible, but it makes it harder. We'll see if he can do it.
And Jace does just put them into the graveyard
with
the emblem.
them.
So Days Undoing could theoretically get around that emblem.
Another island from Stanfar. Remember, every time he plays these spells, he gets to scry a bunch with the Sanctums. It's not unreasonable that he can just start chaining really good cards here. Plays land and says go. An emblem here from Jace for Ted Felicetti.
Yeah, Jace plussing wasn't doing a lot of work. The emblem's got to be better than that.
For those of you playing bingo with us at home, it's available on the Star City Games website and on Tom Ross's Twitter. That's gonna be a square right there. Got a Jace emblem on the board for the day.
Dang it.
Engulf the Shores from Stanfar. Collected Company, Felicetti's hoping to hit a Spell Queller.
I'm going to get this Days Undoing square.
No, I'm concerned about that, too. When we saw this matchup, I said 3 Days Undoing, so Ryan's going to hit it. 6 cards. Any creature's a Selfless Spirit. So it'll go into play before it goes back to Felicetti's hand. And everything is bounced. Stanfar is going to scry 1 twice, then off the gain a life. He gets his other Sanctum back into play, so now he has 3 Jace's Sanctums. I believe he can scry off that Engulf. At least he has a card on top. What's he looking for? I suppose a Take Inventory is just amazing.
Yeah, that'll help him find a lot. He probably wants to cast that 1 Rise from the Tides, make a bunch of zombies, and then reevaluate from there. Can also just start casting the Part the Water Veils if those show up.
Yeah, there are Spell Quellers in Felicetti's hand now. Gotta see what the draw is from Stanfar. Part the Water Veil. Boom, that's huge. He's gonna play it. And he's awakening it. It costs 3 less. So scries 1 a bunch of times, likes the card on top. He swings for 6. Felicetti to 14. Now a draw from Stanfar. We know he kept it on top, so we'll just see what it is. Plays Shrine of the Forsaken Gods.
It's a big one.
It's going to be another. Is this just another Part the Water Veil? It is Part the Water Veil on another island. He scries 1 3 times, gains a life. This is great.
And if he finds another Part the Water Veil, this is going to be game over.
Yeah, I mean, Ted can flash in. I was going to say a guy as a chump blocker. No, isn't this? This is already game over, isn't it? He goes to 12. He's going to have a 2 6/6s hitting once, and then he's going to take another turn.
Oh, yeah. This should do it, actually.
Yeah. Here's a swing for 12. Ted down to 2. Michael will just untap with his 3rd turn in a row, draws a card. This deck's great. Pour over the pages? Sure. 3 or more enchantments on the battlefield? Sure. All of them named Jace's Sanctum.
Pretty nice when your spell that reads untap 2 lands only requires you to tap 2 lands to cast it.
Oh, that's a good card. It's Sift at 0. I Sift Scry 3 for 0. This deck's great.
It's a slight upgrade to Frantic Search.
All I have to do is dig Jace's Sanctums out of my rares box, and I can play this at F&M, and this is already happening. Stanfar gets game 1. Mono Blue Prison.
I can see why this deck is a fan favorite.
Oh my goodness, this is great.
This is the sort of deck, if it were the best deck in the format, I think everybody would hate it. But because it's a fringe deck.
This is great. We are, oh man. Prism Rings. I'm in. I am so in. All right. We're going to look at the sideboards. Okay, I'm going to start with Ted Felicetti's deck because if you're in his spot, you might not even know what just happened. Okay, some guy played a million Jace's Sanctums and then 20'd you. So, and because of those Prism Rings, I don't know. Let's look at the sideboard. What do we have in here that matters?
We're looking at Felicetti's sideboard. He's got 2 Dromoka's Command, 2 Gideon Alex Zendikar, 2 Clash of Wills, 2 Tragic Arrogance, 2 Noose Constrictor, a Tireless Tracker, an Ojutai's Command, an Archangel Avacyn, a Summary Dismissal, and a Tameo Field Researcher. The Dromoka's Command are actually significant here.
Yeah, those Sanctums were great.
Yeah, they provide a lot of fuel for the Mono Blue Prison deck to keep going. Clash of Wills is going to be good. You want to be able to counter some of these early spells. Try to win before the Prison deck can get set up. And the Summary Dismissal is another counter that can help you along those lines. Theoretically, you can bring in Noose Constrictor because we did see he had to discard on some of those turns, so that one's okay. It lowers his mana curve as well. That's mostly what we're looking at here. And Gideon Ally as Zendikar actually I think is quite good here because we saw Planeswalkers as something that Michael is going to have a lot of difficulty dealing with.
We just can't. You're not. Yeah, that seems great.
Yeah.
All right, Michael's sideboard, he's got 4 Negates, 3 Jaces, 2 Summary Dismissals, 2 Docent of Perfections, 1 Displacement Wave, an Orbs of Warding, an Ulamog, and an Emrakul.
I don't know, man. Any of these cards could be okay.
Sure.
Shuffle them all in, take 15 out.
Hey.
You can fight counter wards with Negate, you can counter Collected Company, whatever.
Hey, if Ted goes for a Jace emblem, you can Summary Dismissal the trigger.
True.
And you get it. You
True.
get it? I mean, I don't even know. This seems like it's something that could happen. All right. Well, they're going to get ready for game 2. Now, we talked about Ted Felicetti, a player here at 6-1-1, a relative unknown who might just be making a run here for the Players' Championship. So, last weekend, we had top 16 the Invitational. You see him over there 15th for Season 3. That was a lot of points, especially that 8-0 on day 1. Now, he's got a ways to go, and some of these players here are having good tournaments. Michael Majors, X1, Jay Dean is still in the running. But you can see these players, after that finish, he's making a go of it. And right on the leaderboard, the top 3 players, without trophies by their names, they make it into the Players' Championship at the end of the year.
JD and Michael Majors both having pretty solid weekends so far. Brad Nelson, of course, at Worlds.
Ross Miriam, 7-1 going into this round. Big congratulations by in 14th. Brian Braun-Duin looking to, I believe, a top 4 of the World Championship. So what an impressive run for him.
He's got to be ecstatic about that.
So, I'm going to go ahead and get back to our match here for a second. I think players are still shuffling. So over on SCG, one thing we want to talk about, maybe you see this deck and you say, hey, where do I get these Jace's Sanctums? Where do I get these cards? Well, the weekly sale might just have it on sale. We have hundreds of singles listed at 99 cents right now. I can't say for certain, but Jace's Sanctum, I would bet you can get a pretty good price on that over at StarCityGames.com.
I think Jace's Sanctum would have to be bumped up to 99 cents.
Okay.
I could be mistaken.
So it's not much of a sale if that's the card, but a lot of great cards. And head over there. We change them every week. Underway for Game 2. Ted starts with Duskwatch Recruiter on the play. This actually seems pretty good. I'm not sure. I was going to say I'm not sure how much Mono Blue can play cards, but Take Inventory seems great.
Yeah. Has a couple 2-mana options between Anticipate, Tank Inventory.
Yeah, I was a little concerned that he'd flip the werewolf for him. But it's Advocate and a swing with Duskwatch for Felicetti. We go back to Stanfar. Looks like he has missed a land, so he'll anticipate for it. There's an island in there. He'll take it.
All right, deal.
One of the dangers when you play a deck like this, where your cards are all really synergistic, is standalone they're not very good. So, which is fine because the sum of the parts is the whole. The sum of the parts is better than individual cards, but you really sometimes are playing catch up.
And what this deck is trying to do is catch the format in a way that is very difficult for most of the cards and most of the decks to interact with you. So it doesn't matter if your cards are less good if your opponent's cards don't do the things they're supposed to do.
Yeah, tap land and a flip for Felicetti. He's leaving up his Spell Queller as we go to Michael's next turn. He'll just discard part the Water Veil and pass. Didn't have a play, and Ted may just be able to ride this Spell Queller to victory. We see Hydro Lash, the play on the attack for Stanfar.
I don't think that one's going
to
eat the Spell Queller.
Okay.
It will help Stanfar find a land.
Yeah, he only takes one then off the Howler. 5th land from Felicetti and a pass. Michael does draw land. I think both players are aware, though, that Spell Queller is what's going on here. So
Stanfar can't just keep doing nothing. I imagine that if he has Jace's Sanctum, he just casts it.
I like how Felicetti has learned, too. He could have end-step Collected Company, but he respected Engulf the Shore a lot from Stanfar. He attacks, and Engulf the Shore will just work, despite the Spell Queller. Felicetti's not taking the bait. And, yeah.
Yeah, specifically, he really wants to catch something like Jace's Sanctum.
Yeah, keep in mind, so Engulf the Shore checks toughness. Now, because Ted had land 6 in play, the Sylvan Advocate was not engulfed by those waves. Here's a take inventory from Stanfar.
That was good patience by Felicetti again with that Collected Company. Gets to the point where the Engulf only bounced one creature.
And now that Stanfar goes for the take inventory, Felicetti will try a Collected Company, but it will be negated. 2 cards drawn and a 5th land play by Stanfar. Felicetti's at 9, though, so activate Lumbering Fall Swing. That's 9. We're on to game 3.
All right, there we go. That's exactly what Felicetti needs. The mono blue prison deck does take quite a lot of setup. Wasn't able to get online that game, and even if Stanfar had a Jace's Sanctum to start getting things going, Felicetti had that covered with Spell Queller.
Yeah, he didn't. Stanfar didn't miss a land drop, but it felt like he almost did, right? He cards really didn't do what he needed them to do.
He had to anticipate to find Basic Island, which is really not what you want your cantrips to be doing.
Yeah. So we'll go to a third game. Now Stanfar will get to be on the play for a third game. So that certainly gives him a lot of room, especially against a deck that can present 2-drops really fast like Bant Company.
Prison Ring would have kept him in that game. Would have gained a couple life.
It might. Yeah, it would be pretty good. It would have gained him enough life that Ted wouldn't have been able to make that attack. So eventually, how does Mono Blue win? We saw double part the Water Veil.
That's really the deck's big win condition.
Yeah.
You have a Rise from the Tides, so sometimes you just do that. And the one Coax from the Blind Eternities, he could just close the game with an Emrakul or Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger out of his sideboard.
And I wonder if do you still expect to see something like Coax post-sideboard here? This is a pretty fast matchup.
Yeah, it doesn't seem exceptional here. With just the one copy, there's some argument to always having it. If things snowball a little bit, being able to grab Ulamog, in particular, if Felicetti has some Planeswalkers in his sideboard, we see a lot of Gideons in sideboards, we see a lot of Tamios in sideboards. Those can present pretty real problems for the mono blue deck. So having it for that window, and it's just the one copy, so it's kind of free to have it, but it could also be on the sideboard. The Emrakul is almost never the big thing in the Bant Company matchup.
All right, so also available, we have our weekly sale going that we were telling you about over Star City Games. We also have our creature collections. Now available, select ones are on playmat sleeves and player bundles. So those like the Bone Chewer Giant, this is the game night promo for September. If you want to get that, maybe you're a fan of dogs, on playmats or sleeves, those are now available for sale on the website, starcitygames.com/creature collection. Yeah, so the idea is you'd get one of these. It's like a toolbox, I suppose, in case you need to deal with a sort of particularly problematic situation.
Something I'm curious about, it's just those 2 Titans. Cokes can grab any colorless Eldrazi from your sideboard.
Okay.
So there's some argument if you're bad against Planeswalkers to maybe just tossing a Reality Smasher into the mix.
Sure, so it's a removal spell for Planeswalkers.
Yeah, I don't know if that's ever really worth it in a deck like this, but it's space that you could explore.
So, 2 islands to start the game for Stanfar. He'll take inventory on turn 2. This feels much stronger doing this on the play than when he was behind a Duskwatch Recruiter. And once again, Ted will have the Werewolf. Felicetti, he's going to play a second take inventory. I think he's short on lands again, but this should take care of it, at least for now. He draws another island and passes.
I think take inventory is actually a hidden gem of Standard. I think this card is very good.
Swing with Duskwatch. Ted Felicetti will pass and flip. So actually does have Spell Queller up now. And for Stanfar, misses the land drop.
Looks like one of the cards in hand is a checklist card.
Yeah, it'll be a Jace, perhaps. Just discards Jace's Sanctum for the turn. But he's going to go ahead and unsubstantiate the Howler back to Ted's hand. Yeah, so Stanfar keeping double take inventory, double planes on the play. Does miss again here. And it's going to be Tamiyo Field Researcher for Ted Felicetti. We're going to go and take a look at the modes on that. In this kind of matchup, Planeswalkers can play out in strange ways. 4th land is drawn for Stanfar. So he ticks it up. He's going to go for an ultimate on the Tamiyo.
Yeah, the Tamiyo ultimate, in addition to being a bingo square on my card, would enable Felicetti to just empty his hand on every turn. Even if Stanfar was able to continually return the creatures, he can just cast them for free.
Might not need it. Sylvan Advocate, Dramoka's Command, sacrificing the Jace's Sanctum for Felicetti. Yeah, I'll admit that's one of the squares that I thought was completely unobtainable, was making an emblem of Tamiyo. That's
the ideal wrap-up for this match is Stanfar casts Days Undoing, Felicetti ultimates Tamiyo. We're already past a turn 4 win, but we can still get a couple squares.
Just a pass by Stanfar. Tamiyo pluses to 7. Sylvan Advocate going to be unsubstantiated back to Ted's hand.
And looks like Ted has picked up a Gideon. Can really get way ahead on this board with a pair of Planeswalkers.
Recast Sylvan Advocate and Duskwatch Recruiter.
He was facing down negate mana, so there's a good enough reason to not cast the Gideon there.
And the 5th island from Stanfar, he has... Yeah, you see a smile on his face. He knows that the emblem's coming.
Getting my pen ready for this emblem.
All right, but we do have... Looks like we have a play here from Stanfar.
Little Jace Friends Prodigy. Oh, no. No.
Docent of Perfection, more like. Of course. We should expect that.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with the card, we'll get it on screen here. This is a 2-of out of his sideboard. It's the final part of Delver of Secrets after many iterations. It's a 5/4 that when he casts an instant or sorcery, he gets a 1/1 wizard. But that's just going to be reflected back into his hand. Game and match go for Ted Felicetti. He improves to 7-1-1 as he makes day 2.
Doesn't a pretty exciting card, but Felicetti just can't afford to bring out creatures with power and toughness. So Reflector Mage remains in the deck, deals with it, and Felicetti moves on to 7-1-1.
So great day 1 for Ted. We can hope to see more of him day 2, especially as he makes a run on the Season 3 leaderboard.